Tim Petrowich here with Marion head football coach Kerry Martin, and we get ready for the first home game in a while since week 2 as the Wildcats play Althoff here in Marion on Friday night. First, let's go back a week and talk about the game last Friday and then Saturday against the Mount Vernon Rams. And first of all, talk about the schedule change and some of the things you kind of had to do to keep everyone focused. You went there Friday night. Didn't get to play the game, had to turn around and come back Saturday morning. And what did you do with the team to try and keep them focused? Because apparently it worked, 56-14 win.
Well, you know, it's not an easy situation when you're hyped up and prepared to play, and then you get this unexpected delay, and you wait 30 minutes, and you get down to about 4 or 5 minutes left, and we're about ready to go back out, and we delay another 30 minutes, and this continued, and we just tried to keep the kids, you know, let them stay in the locker room, and we got them refocused a couple of different times and went in and talked to them and tried to keep their minds on the game a little bit, and they handled it very well. You know, it's just kind of a tough situation because you're anxious to be out there and playing, but ultimately it got to the point where the flashes of lightning looked like they were going to continue, you know, and so we just decided, let's make a decision, and if we can, let's get our kids home and off their feet and try this again tomorrow. And it ended up being the right decision. We ended up much better weather the next day, much better field conditions, and from what I understand, those lightning flashes continued well up to midnight. So we would have probably never played the game if we had tried to stay there.
Well, and to take a look at what happened around the area when the Marion-Mount Vernon game was delayed, I think maybe that was the only one other game that was facing a weather situation. Before the night was over, weather affected well more than half the games in Southern Illinois.
And it was one of those nights where, looking at the extended forecast early in the week, which you always do to get, just in case you might have the inclement weather, the rain chances were 10, 15, 20% at the most. And yet we nearly had every game either had a weather delay or had some type of weather-related situation, rain or lightning or whatever. So it kind of came out of nowhere, to be honest. And it started off about 3 o'clock with one cell over Mount Vernon, and then they just began to pop up over the evening. And so it was kind of unexpected, but we've been through it before. We've dealt with it before. It tends to happen a lot against Mount Vernon for some reason. I don't know why, but anyway, I thought our kids handled it really well.
You came out Saturday morning, and like you've done in the couple of previous games, you jumped out to an early lead. You got 14 quick points. Of course, you held them, I think, to 5 offensive plays in their first series. Got the punt, went down and scored, then recovered a fumble and scored another defensive touchdown, which you've done quite a bit. And again, that early quick start helps to get your kids going and helps kind of put the other team down a little bit.
It does. And Mount Vernon did a good job of fighting back, and they fought back and then made a little bit of a game of it there early in the first half. But getting out to a good start allows you to do a lot of different things, playbook-wise and play-calling-wise, and our kids seem to be ready to play from the get-go. 11:30 starts, first time for me, and certainly first time for our kids. We've played day games, but never that early. And I thought they got up, and we had a good bus ride up, and they handled it well, and we played well.
You're up 14-8. Mount Vernon's got the ball. They scored the most recent touchdown, and where early in the season you guys had struggled a lot with turnovers, you were able to force a big turnover, the first one of 5 that they wound up having in the game, but force a big turnover after they had first and goal at the 2-yard line, I think, on their third down play. You got a strip and got the ball to 2, and you went down and scored, and that really changed the momentum of the game.
It did. It was a huge play, and I don't know if the game depended on that play, but certainly the momentum changed after that play, and got a big play inside from our defensive line and got a turnover, and were able to get into our change of pace, and I think on the 3rd or 4th play got a long run from Shaq and punched it in, and kind of never looked back after that. But it was a big play and a big change, I think, for the momentum swing, which it swung back to their side a little bit.
Shaq is Shaq, and he got his 110 yards, and he got a touchdown. But the thing I was really impressed with, and you look at Matt's numbers at quarterback, Matt did a good job of delivering the ball, but I was particularly impressed with the way, especially Jay and Justin got yards after the catch. A little pass out in the flat, and all of a sudden what would normally be a 6 or 7 yard gain turns into a 19, 20, 25 yard gain. I thought they did a really good job running with the ball after the catch.
I did too. I thought that's been a big key right now, is taking some pressure off Shaquille and allowing other people to contribute, and we've had a lot of kids touch the ball so far this year, and they're starting to make big plays. Jay's been making some big plays, Justin, this week, and I can't forget about Cedric. Cedric continues to to get better and make some big blocks and make some catches, and certainly had a couple of big runs in this game.
Yeah, and the nice pass he caught wide open on that pass out of the change of pace offense there to really, give you guys a big lead there in the second half.
Yeah, it was a big play for us, a nice play action, and he ran a great route just like he's supposed to do, and Matt put the ball in the money, and that was probably the final blow right there to give us the lead we needed.
I got a chance to see some film, and you mentioned after the game about the fact that, here's a guy who threw 21 times, threw for 260 yards, didn't have a mark on his uniform.
Yeah.
He had a lot of time on a lot of passes to just stand back in the pocket, look around, and deliver the ball where he needed to.
He did. Part of it is a credit to our offensive line. They did a great job. Part of it, too, was the Mount Vernon scheme, which was to sit back and really try to take away our screen game, and which they did in many ways. But the problem was they gave Matt time to find people, and he went through his progressions and he found open receivers, and you're just not going to be able to give Matt that kind of time. And if you do, you have to make a decision whether you want to play the pass rush and give up the screens or stop the screens, but let Matt have some time to throw the ball.
This Friday night, you're back home, first time after 3 road games, and you're playing against the Althoff Crusaders. Always one of the tougher teams in this South 7 Conference, and you said after the game Saturday, arguably your 4 toughest games are still left on your schedule with Althoff, Centralia, Carbondale, and Heron. Yeah. Here's the first one. You've got them at home. Talk about Althoff and what you were able to see when you got to see them play.
Well, they're a big physical team. Their front 4 are very good. Their down 2 tackles are probably the 2 best down tackles we've seen up to this point. They've got some good linebackers. Their middle linebacker especially is an outstanding football player. They've got a good running game. They have a quarterback that can run the ball. They actually play 2 quarterbacks, and one's a better passer, one's a better runner. But they've got a lot of different weapons. They're not really similar to anybody we've played so far. They're very different in some of the things they do. But they've got a big offensive line that wants to control the line of scrimmage. So they create, all kinds of problems with some play action off their run game and also some zone read they do. So they present all kinds of challenges for us. And again, these next 4 weeks are all going to be tough. Starts with Althoff, but great tradition, solid program, well-coached football team, and fundamentally very sound.
You talk about some of their people and the 2 names that stick out. Jabari Taylor, one of those 2 quarterbacks, right. Seems like he's been around there for a long time.
Yeah.
We've talked about different players who last forever. He seems like one of those. And then I think it's Cameron Harris, the running back, who, he wasn't their feature running back last year, but he's the one who had the biggest game against us last year.
He did. He's a good player, solid player. Great north and south runner, solid football player, very strong kid. And you're right, Jabari Taylor is also an excellent football player. And they have a new player, Nash Quarles, I think is his name. He comes in from East St. Louis, I believe, and playing at Althoff. And he's a nice addition, about 6'3", 205. Plays some fullback, plays some safety for him. So he's a good addition to that backfield.
Last year when you played this team, they really statistically dominated the first half, got down inside your 1-yard line, and then you had another one of those big defensive plays that changed the momentum. And I'm sure you're hoping, not that they get down inside your 1, but you can get some more of those big-type defensive plays to change momentum.
Well, we need to. I mean, our defense has begun to make plays, and they've scored the last 2 weeks, and they're creating some turnovers, and we need our defense to do that, and not just be a bend but don't break defense, but to make some plays, and we're starting to see that. And one of the goals at the beginning of the year was to have a defense that was making more plays, changing more momentum, and so far so good, but they're going to have to continue to do that, especially starting this last 4 weeks.
And it seems like in the last few games they've done a lot better job of tackling and not worrying so much. I think sometimes the defense gets caught up in trying to get their hands on the ball.
Right.
And when they've started doing tackling, that's when they've created turnovers and got their hands on the ball.
That's a good point. Yeah, it is. The game comes down to offensively blocking, defensively tackling. I mean, there's a lot of other things that go into it, but those 2 things, those 2 fundamental things are just as important now as they ever were. The game has changed scheme-wise, but you still got to block no matter what scheme you're in on offense, and you still got to tackle no matter what front you run on defense. And we've done a better job doing those 2 things the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Typically, your team has been a team that's used the run to open up the pass this year. You kind of strayed a little bit from that, I think, in the last 2 weeks with the screen passes and then the passing game used against Mount Vernon. But Centralia had success throwing the ball against Althoff. And is this possibly a game where you could maybe use the passing game to open up the running game a little bit?
Well, I know Centralia did that a little bit. And they threw the ball to run the ball. And it's going to depend on what kind of scheme Althoff runs against us. And I think Centray made the decision to throw the ball because that's what Althoff was going to give them. And I think we're in the same situation. It depends on what he wants to do defensively. If he wants to take away the run and we have to throw it to win it, then that's what we'll have to do. If he wants to back off and play the pass and give us the run, then so be it. But I mean, I can't go in and know for sure what coach is going to do. But I do know this: we're prepared to do whatever we need to do to win the game. And I think the way Matt's throwing the ball, the way the receivers are catching the ball, that option's available to us if we have to win in that fashion.
Shaq had a big game against them last year. I'm sure that's one of the places they'll be keying.
Oh, they'll key him. That's right. And we've been blessed to have some other kids contribute, maybe a little more than last year even. But I think that the key right now for Shaq is the fact that even when he's not getting the ball, he's doing things to help our program. And we're play actioning off of a run fake and throwing down the field. He's carrying that fake out, and you can see it on film. I mean, he's doing a lot of team things that are behind the scenes that are making other people successful. And we really stress to the kids the mark of a great player is your ability to make your teammates better, and Shaquille has been doing that. And
then you mentioned earlier about Cedric improving, and one of the things I've noticed in the last two games we talked about last week, I noticed on film this week, every time he gets the ball now, he's running hard and he's running more north and south than trying to do the elusive moves and things like that.
I agree, and he made two big plays for us last week with the cross for a touchdown and the long catch, and he's finding a way to find the end zone every week now, and we need him to do that to counterbalance the defense's attention to Shaq, and then having Jay and Justin out wide is a big part of it. So it takes a team effort for us to be great, and the only way this football team is going to continue winning is to get more people involved, and right now those guys are stepping up and doing it.
Every week we mention the special teams, and there wasn't a return for a touchdown, there wasn't a situation where you pin people deep or things like that, but I think we have to point out the fact there were two huge hits on special teams. One, a huge block by J.D. Ray on the first punt of the game that gave Justin some room on the sideline, and then on kick coverage you had another big hit. The special teams kids are really playing hard football.
And they're playing the special teams with pride, and they're taking some ownership in it. And Coach Schulmeister has done a lot with our special teams, and Sean had a great game kicking the ball. We didn't miss any extra points, put some balls in the end zone on kickoff, and Brett's doing a great job hunting the football. So there's a lot of things that go into success on the special teams, but we're getting better coverage, we're getting good kicks, and as I said, it's good to see the time spent in practice in that phase of the game is paying off.
Playing at home, what do you think about that?
Well, it's exciting. I don't. 2 years ago when we went through this run on the schedule, I don't remember being so grateful to be home as I am this year. We're so excited to be home and to play in front of the home crowd. It seems like we've not played at home in a very long time, and it's been 3 weeks now, almost 4, and we're excited. We're pumped. We hope there's a big crowd, and we're going to feed off that.
It's Kerry Martin, head coach of the Marion Wildcats. For Dateline Marion, I'm Tim Petrowich.